Creepypastas, the things that have scared many of us shitless during our childhoods, but also had us so invested till the end. I used to stay up all night after seeing that iconic Jeff the Killer photo. It would also be sprinting out of dark rooms thinking the Slenderman was going to get me for some reason. But what are creepypastas exactly? Creepypastas are fictional internet horror stories usually shared on forums and other sites to disturb and instill fear into readers. The stories behind these creepypastas commonly consist of either urban legends and stories from the past, rituals, or lost media. The term creepypasta derives from copypasta, a term referring to text copied and pasted repeatedly on multiple sites. In order to give a clear idea of the creepypasta, the stories came with disturbing and shocking photos, audio, and videos to immerse the viewer. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining these so-called creepypastas. More specifically, I'm going to discuss the creepypastas within the first layer of the iceberg that was made by the user Vargas on DeviantArt, which I'll make sure to link in the description below, as well as all the sources I used to make this video. Without further ado, let's get on to the video. The very first creepypasta we're going to be covering today is going to be Herobrine, which seems like a cakewalk compared to what we're going to talk about in this list, but we shall go on. Herobrine is a community-made creepypasta that originated from the popular survival and sandbox game Minecraft. The first encounter with Herobrine goes as follows. Someone who was playing in single-player mode spotted an NPC with the default Steve skin, but with white, glowing eyes he referred to as empty, stalking him from the end of his render distance in the fog. Soon after seeing this entity, bizarre events started happening within his world, including groves of trees missing their leaves, 2x2 tunnels dug underground lit by redstone torches, and small pyramids of sand within the ocean. The player was baffled by what he had been experiencing. To find out what was going on, he posted the topic to discuss on a Minecraft forum. He would later find it removed, and soon after being personally messaged by someone referring to themselves as Herobrine, telling him to stop posting the topic. An investigation with another person on the forum led to a shocking discovery. The brother of Notch, the original creator of the game, was named Herobrine. When they emailed Notch, questioning if he had a brother, Notch responded with, "I did, but he is no longer with us," presumably proposing that he was haunting the game. However, Herobrine's existence in Minecraft is as real as my love life. Yeah, he doesn't actually exist. Notch has claimed publicly that Herobrine isn't real and that he has never had an actual brother, although he does have a half-brother that he isn't close with. But this hasn't stopped Mojang from teasing the community about this myth many times, stating that they removed Herobrine in multiple update logs. The rake is a hostile humanoid creature. It is said to usually be very aggressive to anyone who comes across it, stalking, torturing, and murdering its victims. The entity inhabits tree-dense areas but is known to also appear in suburban areas. Specifically, it has also been depicted to appear at the end of people's beds as they sleep. The rake originated from 4chan's B-board in late 2005, where a user proposed that they should make a new monster. Many concepts were brought up, but one stood out from the rest, eventually forming into what we know today as the rake. The original post stated, and I quote, "Alright, this is for the people who like the 3 eyes. No apparent mouth, pale skin one. Here's what we've got so far. Humanoid, about 6 feet tall when standing, but usually crouches and walks on all fours. It has very pale skin. The face is blank, as in no nose, no mouth. However, it has 3 solid green eyes, one in the middle of its forehead and the other 2 on either side of its head, towards the back. Usually seen in front of yards in suburban areas. usually just watches the observer but will stand up and attack if approached. When it attacks, a mouth opens up, as if a hinged skull that opens at the chin. It reveals many tiny but dull teeth. The design for the rake, most popularly referred to as Operation Crawler, would go through a number of redesigns within the thread, which would ultimately lead to this description. Around 6 feet tall, usually seen crouching, humanoid with pale grayish skin, 2 eyes slightly bigger than human eyes, no nose, a mouth that appears to be smaller than human when closed, but if threatened can be opened freely on the hinge down to the neckline, showing tons of dull teeth. The original photo, often claimed to have derived from a Resistance 3 promotion, actually originated from a user named Hillbilly Willie on archerytalk.com, who posted a picture of a wooded area at night that had the same exact surroundings that the iconic rake photo has. Along the way, the original image was altered, turning the gray blob on the right into a monster that shaped the description of the rake from the forum. Slenderman is described as a tall humanoid creature, usually in a black suit, red or black tie, and a white shirt. His face and head are entirely white, devoid of any features or hair. In multiple iterations, the Slenderman ranges from 6 to 15 feet tall and is also said to have a number of tentacles protruding out of his back, anywhere from 4 to 8, that can extend or contract at his will. The popular entity first originated from the online web forum Something Awful in 2009, where the forum held a contest for users to edit seemingly regular photos to look paranormal. A user named Nutsend, whose real name is Victor Surge, submitted 2 black and white photos of children with what we know as today as Slenderman, being unnoticed in the background near groups of children. The Slenderman is known to behave in a passive-aggressive manner, often stalking victims for up to multiple years or even decades at a time before actually attacking them. During those long periods of time, he tortures his targets mentally, often using fear and paranoia to bring them to absolute insanity. He often appears when the victim least expects it, when they feel the most comfortable, often ranging from their home, school, and workplace. The Slenderman is said to attack its prey when the victim simply loses their will to fight against them any longer, making for a much less effortless kill. When it comes to powers, Slenderman is known to have many that aid him in his hunt for prey. The most common one you'll see, no matter the iteration, would be Slender Walking, his ability to teleport to different locations, and space-time warping. It is said that he's capable of teleporting several dozen times within just a few seconds, but also seems to be incapable of moving his body properly. In earlier interpretations, he has also been known to have the abilities of selective invisibility, change height or body, shape his arms into tentacles at will, and have tentacles come out from its back and shoulders. Lastly, it is also widely known that the Slenderman can cause massive interferences in electronic equipment, although this can vary depending on the entity's state of aggression and other outside factors. It is unclear how the entity chooses its victims and what exactly its purpose is for doing so. However, it's popularly proposed that he most likely targets those who gain a certain level of understanding of him or are close to someone who has, often targeting those who end up getting interested in researching about him in an obsessive way. Initially, the Slenderman was portrayed as a highly aggressive when targeting its victims. His victims were often children, usually impaling them on branches of tall trees and letting them bleed to death. He individually removed the victim's organs and placed them in plastic bags, which then returned to the original areas with the victim's body. But over time, the influence of Marble Hornets, a popular Slenderman-based YouTube series, and many popular horror games shaped much of the contemporary behavior and powers of Slenderman we most commonly know today. Jeff the Killer, initially known as Jeffrey Woods, is said to be a young psychopathic serial killer with a disfigured face. The origin story that led to him becoming known as a psychotic murderer we know today starts at the beginning of Jeff's teen years. At the age of 13, Jeff, his brother Lou, and his parents moved into a new neighborhood. On Jeff and Lou's first day at school, 3 bullies, Randy, Keith, and Troy, aggressively approached the brothers, threatening them with knives. Jeff had violently beaten all 3 of them, but Lou took the blame for the situation. Soon after, Jeff went into a deep depression, which he would soon find unbearable after meeting the same bullies at the party. The 4 of them would get into a little scuffle, where Jeff would kill one of them, but most importantly, where Keith covered Jeff in bleach and lit him on fire, leading Jeff to snap mentally. Jeff would wake up in the hospital with bandages all over his head, when taken off, Jeff saw in the mirror a disfigured and pale face, with bright red lips that had a rough, leathery texture. Jeff laughed uncontrollably, adding to that he loved how his face looked. The doctor, believing his rash behavior was just a temporary side effect of the painkillers, sent him home, which was something he would soon regret. Later the same night that Jeff returned from the hospital, Jeff's mother found him carving a permanent smile into his face that he wouldn't have to use any energy to smile, while also burning his eyelids off to always see his face. The mother desperately tried to tell her husband about how Jeff had gone mad and how he needed to be eliminated, but Jeff ended up stabbing both of them to death. This event woke up Lou, who was recently released from jail, but to his horror, his brother right next to him whispered in his ear, "Go to sleep," right before plunging the knife into his body. After murdering his family, Jeff would continue his serial killing rampage, targeting those who refused to slumber at night. The iconic photo depicted to be Jeff the Killer has an unknown origin to this day. The photo has been seen in a Japanese video on YouTube that was published way back in 2007. The video was said to be a horror film project named something along the lines of Victims of Tomorrow, where lists of names and ages are shown. Jeff's face then appears for a quick second, with text appearing afterwards saying "good night," which might have led to his popular saying "go to sleep." But the earliest reports of the photo have gone all the way back from November 2005 from a Japanese message board called pia.cc. The user Caesar claimed that they posted the image along with another, claiming that the alternate version was his original design concept. However, Caesar's earliest online presence was recorded in August of 2008, with his Newgrounds account named Killer Jeff, where he acted as the Creepypasta. Smile Dog, also known as Smile.jpg, is a quote-unquote haunted image that has been said to date back all the way to the early stages of the internet. The image itself includes a dog-like entity, most commonly agreed to be or similar to a Siberian Husky, sitting in a dim room at night with a window in the background and a human hand below it, extending from the left. The dog-like entity has a wide, creepy grin, revealing 2 rows of very white, sharp, human-like teeth. The photo itself has been rumored to drive those who view it insane, making the victim constantly see it within their minds. There is no clear reason as to why or how the image causes this to happen, nor the epileptic seizures that come with it. The entity is also stated to visit victims within their dreams, telling them spread the word. Shortly after this dream, victims usually receive an email with an attached file of Smile Dog, who are deeply encouraged to spread it to others. Any form of deleting the file will result in it being resent to the victim, and ignoring to spread the file for 3 days or more causes the photo to slowly mutate into form, showing a much more unsettling and demonic version of the Smile Dog, said to be his true form. While the photo begins to change, the nightmares these victims experience become worse, suffering psychologically until they spread the image to others, committing or dying from sleep deprivation and malnourishment. The SCP Foundation is a web-based collaborative fiction project detailing an organization that revolves around the containment and study of paranormal and supernatural phenomena. The acronym SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. The Foundation secures anomalies to prevent them from causing any harm to the general public, contains these said anomalies to prevent their effects from spreading, and protect humanity from the anomalies and the knowledge of their existence. These anomalies are often referred to as SCPs, identified by given numbers such as the more commonly known anomalies like SCP-096, SCP-173, and SCP-106, and can range from simple objects to otherworldly entities. The anomalies are categorized into safe, Euclid, Keter, Thaumiel, or neutralized. SCPs identified as safe are very easy to contain by the Foundation standards. However, this does not mean they're harmless. An example of this would be SCP-846, a cute, friendly, little-looking robot identified as safe, but can be ordered to utilize one of its 350 robo-accessories, such as an Ultra Plasma Rifle, a Meltotron 5000, a gun that sprays acid, a ray gun that releases a stream of gamma radiation, and an atomic grenade. SCPs classified as Euclid require more resources to contain completely, or containment is not entirely reliable. This is usually due to the said anomaly being insufficiently understood by the Foundation or is generally unpredictable. As I previously mentioned this SCP before, SCP-096 is also classified as Euclid since its behavior can be very unpredictable due to the state of how its emotional distress is triggered. If any individual is to see the SCP's face, whether it be up close in a photo or even a pixel off of a screen, SCP-096 will begin to cry, scream, and babble incoherently. After 1 to 2 minutes of seeing the SCP's face, SCP-096 will start sprinting to the individual who viewed its face, referred to in this context as SCP-096-1, where it is said that no material can impede the SCP-096's progress and that it can run from anywhere above 35 kilometers per hour. SCP-096-1 is then terminated by SCP-096 to the point where there are no traces of the individual left. SCP-096 then sits down for several minutes before eventually regaining its composure and returning to a docile state. However, this reaction is not triggered by viewing art depictions of SCP-096. SCPs classified as Keter are very difficult to contain or haven't been contained yet. It can range from entities that can phase through any material object, entities who have the ability to teleport, or simply uncontrollably dangerous SCPs that can easily escape due to their brute strength or abilities. An example of a Keter class would be SCP-682, an extremely intelligent, large reptile creature that has a physical body that grows and changes insanely quickly, gaining energy from anything it ingests. SCP-682's regenerative abilities are unfathomable, being said to be able to move and speak with up to 87% of its body being destroyed or rotted. To this day, the reptile has attempted to break out 17 times, with 6 successful attempts. The last two categories are Thaumiel and Neutralized. Thaumiel class is for SCPs that are used by personnel in containing or counteracting other SCPs, being useful to the Foundation or the world. An example of this would be SCP-6101. SCP-6101 is a 9-year-old boy named Ethan Prosper and is deemed too powerful by the Foundation to contain. He is left to be taken care of by his family until the Foundation calls upon him for aid. The full extent of SCP-6101's powers are unknown. However, he has displayed the powers of Marvel superheroes and is believed to be capable of doing whatever he sets his mind to. The boy has 2 straps on him at all times, one called Fear and one called Loathing, which shoot bullets of pure light and darkness. He also has a dog named Heidi, known as SCP-6101-01, and both of them are acknowledged as the strongest SCPs. SCP-6101 has been called in the past to contain security breaches before, such as when SCP Omega broke out of its cell at Site-301. SCP-6101 used his telekinetic abilities and verbal threats to drive SCP Omega back into its containment cell. Lastly, there is the neutralized class of SCPs, which are SCPs that have been destroyed or disabled intentionally or by accident. This includes the likes of SCP-1762, which is a cardboard box that randomly unleashes dragon origamis, and SCP-1983, a small farmhouse in Wyoming that contains a spatial anomaly where matter or light have not been observed to exit the front door, except for SCP-1983-2, which are black bipedal humanoid creatures standing up to 1.8 meters tall that extract hearts from humans and then return to SCP-1983. To conclude this segment, the SCP universe over the years has expanded into various forms of media, including games, full-blown films, fan art, and animations. This diverse expansion has solidified the SCP Foundation's place as a prominent and enduring creepypasta in the internet culture. The Backrooms is a creepypasta about an infinite, unsettling labyrinth resembling an empty office building with moist carpet, harsh lighting, and ugly, yellowed wallpaper, creating a disconcerting liminal space effect. The story originated on May 12, 2019 on 4chan's X, or Paranormal board, when an image of an eerily empty room was posted, prompting a user to create the Backrooms concept. This concept quickly spread online, solidifying the Backrooms as a popular piece of internet horror. The image central to the Backrooms lore was first uploaded on 4chan's B board on April 8, 2018, as a simple, creepy image. The file name suggests it might have been originally posted in 2012, but due to 4chan's thread deletion practices and lack of comprehensive archives from that period, this is hard to confirm. Numerous false leads have emerged in the search for the image's origin, including uploads to the Collins cold storage website, misattributed photographs, and coordinates on Google Earth linked to an ARG. The true origin of the Backrooms image was finally uncovered on May 29, 2024, by the Virtual World Discourse server. They traced the image to a 2003 announcement on the Wayback Machine promoting the construction of a new RC car interior raceway for the Hobbytown USA racing team in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. The announcement included progress pictures of their new building, one of which was the now famous Backrooms image that eventually found its way to 4chan. To this day, the Backrooms concept has evolved into a collaborative fictional project very much like the SCP Foundation, having multiple different levels, entities, and even deeper lore, which I'm not really a fan of. The NES Godzilla creepypasta is an internet horror story that revolves around a mysterious and haunted copy of the 1988 Nintendo Entertainment System game Godzilla, Monster of the Monsters. The story is narrated by a protagonist who receives a strange cartridge from a friend and begins playing it, only to discover that it is not a typical Godzilla game. Instead, it is filled with unsettling glitches, disturbing imagery, and a pervasive sense of dread. As the protagonist delves deeper into the game, they encounter increasingly bizarre and frightening elements, such as corrupted levels, glitched out enemies, and cryptic messages from the game itself. The game's antagonist, a demonic entity known as Red, begins to communicate with the protagonist directly, taunting and threatening them as they progress. The story takes a dark turn as the protagonist's real-life experiences become intertwined with the events of the game. They begin to suffer from hallucinations, paranoia, and insomnia, all of which are attributed to the cursed game. As the protagonist struggles to make sense of what is happening, they uncover a sinister conspiracy involving the game's developers and a cult dedicated to summoning ancient evils. In the end, the protagonist confronts Red in the final showdown within the game's digital world, leading to a climactic and chilling conclusion that leaves the reader questioning what is real and what is merely a product of the protagonist's descent into madness. Pokemon, typically known for its cheerful nature, harbors a darker myth surrounding Lavender Town. This legend, often resurfacing around Halloween, centers on the story from the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan. According to the tale, a series of child were linked to the eerie music of Lavender Town, a location in the game without a Pokemon gym. The myth suggests that the music's high frequencies were harmful, allegedly driving children to terminate themselves or causing other distressful effects like headaches and nosebleeds. Despite being debunked, the story of Lavender Town syndrome persists, amplified by internet rumors and creepypasta. Various versions of the legend claim that the game's programmers embedded harmful frequencies within the music that only affected children due to their sensitive hearing. Some have even fabricated evidence, such as the spectrogram images showing ghostly figures or hidden messages, to add credibility to the tale. This urban legend is reminiscent of the real-life incident with the Pokemon anime episode Cyber Soldier Porygon, which caused seizures among viewers, though any connection is purely coincidental. The persistent fascination with Lavender Town syndrome can be attributed to the unsettling nature of the music and the detailed, evolving narrative. Reports claim that the original game music caused over 200 child and numerous illnesses until it was altered to a lower frequency in subsequent releases. A video from 2010 further fueled the myth by showing supposed images of the unknown spelling "leave now" when analyzing the music, despite the unknown not appearing until later games. Laughing Jack, created by a guardian angel, began as a colorful and kind Jack-in-the-Box clown whose personality mirrored his owner's. He was given as a Christmas present to a lonely boy named Isaac Grossman in the 1800s. Abandoned when Isaac went to boarding school, Laughing Jack turned monochrome and emotionless. As Isaac grew into a ruthless serial killer, Laughing Jack's personality shifted to reflect Isaac's evil nature. Upon his release, Laughing Jack, now a dark demonic figure, terminated Isaac with the same instruments Isaac used on his victims. Laughing Jack's transformation was complete. He became a remorseless, violent entity who took pleasure in torturing and killing lonely or neglected children. He posed as their imaginary friend before trapping their souls in the nightmarish fairground, accompanied by the haunting tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. His powers included teleportation, invisibility, creating nightmares, hallucinations, and telekinesis. This malevolent being enjoyed manipulating children and their parents, driving them to madness and despair. In the modern era, Laughing Jack befriended a 5-year-old boy named James, whose mother dismissed his tales of an imaginary friend. Laughing Jack's presence became increasingly sinister as he taunted the family, leading to the brutal termination of their dog and horrifyingly graphic displays of violence. James' mother, realizing the threat too late, witnessed Laughing Jack's true monstrous form, but her attempts to stop him led to the accidental killing of her son. She was subsequently institutionalized, haunted by the recurring tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. Laughing Jack's origins as an innocent, angelic creation were corrupted by his owner's malevolence, transforming him into an agent of pure evil. His evolution from a colorful clown to a monochrome demon symbolizes the loss of innocence and the overwhelming influence of darkness. His story is marked by manipulation, violence, and eternal torment for his victims, solidifying his place as a nightmarish figure in the realm of horror fiction. Polybius is an urban legend surrounding a mysterious arcade game released briefly in 1981 by a company called Sinneslosken, meaning sense deletion in German. This puzzle/shoot-'em-up game, reminiscent of Tempest, appeared in a few arcades in Portland, Oregon, and became instantly popular. However, players reported bizarre phenomena while playing, including hearing a woman crying, seeing grotesque faces, and experiencing blackouts, amnesia, nightmares, nausea, and headaches. Some even committed or developed an aversion to video games, with one player becoming an anti-video game activist. Reports emerged that men in black suits frequently visited arcades housing Polybius cabinets, collecting gameplay data without taking any money. This fueled theories that the game was a government experiment involving subliminal messages. Despite its popularity, the game abruptly vanished after about a month, with all cabinets mysteriously disappearing. Although one cabinet reappeared in 1998, it quickly vanished again, and the original ROM has never been found. The game's eerie effects and the mysterious men in the black suits led to speculation that Polybius was part of a government PSYOPs experiment, akin to the infamous CIA MK-Ultra project. MK-Ultra, conducted in the 1960s, involved brutal methods like hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and psychoactive drugs to test mind control and memory erasure. Given this historical context, it was not hard to believe that Polybius could have been a similar experiment aimed at unsuspecting American children. Polybius's creators, Sinneslosken, further added to the intrigue. The name implies sensory deletion, aligning with reports of missing time and amnesia among players. Despite attempts to recreate the game, none have matched the supposed original's bizarre and disturbing effects. The legend of Polybius persists as a cautionary tale about government overreach and the potential dangers of untested technology. Play With Me refers to the creepypasta concerning Sally Williams. Sally Williams is a young girl who endured a tragic and horrific end at the hands of her abusive uncle. Her story begins with her living a seemingly normal life, only to be repeatedly tormented by her uncle when no one else was around to witness his cruelty. This continuous abuse ultimately culminated in Sally's death, which is marked by a violent and traumatic experience that left her spirit restless and vengeful. After her death, Sally's ghost begins to haunt her childhood home and anyone who attempts to harm children. She is often depicted wearing a blood-stained pink dress, a remnant of the day she was murdered, and carrying her cherished teddy bear. Despite her own suffering, Sally's spirit shows a protective nature, especially towards other children who are in danger. Her haunting presence is a combination of seeking justice and preventing others from experiencing the same pain she did. The story of Sally Williams touches on themes of lost innocence and the impact of abuse. Her transformation from a victim to a protector in the afterlife highlights the desire for retribution and safety for the innocent. As a ghost, Sally retains her childlike qualities, but also displays a terrifying aspect to those who might harm others. This duality makes her both a sympathetic and fearsome character within the creepypasta community. Sally's tale is not just one of horror, but also of unresolved trauma and lingering effects of violence. Her spirit's existence is a testament to the deep scars left by abuse and perpetual need for protection and justice. Through her story, Sally Williams has become a poignant symbol within the creepypasta lore, representing both the vulnerability of children and the enduring strength of those who fight to protect them. Username 666 is a video uploaded in 2008 by a Japanese YouTube channel, Nana825763. The video depicts a disturbing sequence that supposedly occurs when searching for and refreshing the YouTube page for the username 666. It has gained significant notoriety and is considered one of the internet's early urban legends, sparking extensive discussion about its authenticity and content. This had led to many rumors and recreations over the years. The story depicts a worker at YouTube in 2006 who stumbled upon a questionable account that had been suspended by the website's moderators. One of the moderators ends up giving the worker a paper with a written link on it, and begging him to not ask about the secret username ever again. The given URL was simply www.youtube.com/666. But after the worker got off work and typed it into his computer, the account had been suspended, to no surprise. However, after refreshing the page multiple times, each time the layout became gradually more read and distorted, with video tags being replaced with X666 and all the text on the screen being replaced by the same 3-digit number. The presumably banned channel, to the worker's surprise, popped up. The videos showed depictions of gore mixed with distorted and swirled graphics. A blank pop-up appears right before the worker could click to the next video of the channels, but clicking an empty button also led to another video of theirs. The video depicted a woman drowning in a pool of blood while also showing other despicable things. The worker tried pausing it, closing Internet Explorer, and even pressing the shutdown button on their computer, but to no avail. None of these attempts of escape worked. The worker, panicking and losing all hope, believed they were hacked, with horrible sounds bursting out of the speakers. The woman's hand eventually popped out of the video box, leading to the computer crashing. After a few days, the worker was fired due to the mental shape they were in after such a bizarre and scaring occurrence, theorizing whether it could have been the actual devil who made the channel, or it was all a joke to scare other YouTubers at the time. Eyeless Jack is most commonly depicted as an individual with a black hoodie and an expressionless blue mask with no nose nor mouth. Black liquid, assumed to be a mixture of blood and tar, drips down from his eye sockets behind the mask. Jack has claws for fingers and a mouth full of sharp teeth. It is said that he is 19 years old and is 5 feet and 11 inches tall, has gray skin, has brown hair, and can still see despite having no eyes. Eyeless Jack is known for targeting his victims at night while they are asleep. He is infamous for removing his victims' kidneys and sewing them back up flawlessly, showing that Jack may have anatomical or medical knowledge to some degree. He has insane stealth and is incredibly strong, but the full capabilities of Jack's powers are still unknown. The origin of the iconic Eyeless Jack photograph was first cited on June 7, 2010, where the photo was uploaded onto 4chan by the user Arnon. The title of the post was Nightmare Fuel, and the post itself contained images of creepy, disturbing creatures from video games, one of which was the original photo of Eyeless Jack. The story was written on February 25, 2012 by the Wikia user Azelf 5000, also known as Papa Pinche on YouTube. In recent memory, on February 17th, 2020, on the replies of Trevor Henderson's Eyeless Jack tweet, the user Pirate Cashew revealed they were the original creator of the Eyeless Jack image, posting unblurred and original images of the photo onto Twitter to prove himself. Toby Rogers was a troubled boy born with multiple mental disorders, making it difficult for him to fit in and resulted in constant bullying. Due to his condition, he was homeschooled and grew up with few friends, living with his mother, older sister Lyra, and abusive father. At 17, Toby and Lyra were in a tragic car accident that resulted in her death, which deeply affected Toby. After Lyra's death, Toby's mental state worsened significantly. He became increasingly isolated, his symptoms exacerbated, and he began self-harming by chewing the flesh off his hands. His father's descent into drug and alcohol abuse led to further familial abuse, pushing Toby to the brink of insanity. In a fit of madness, Toby killed his father and fled, setting the neighborhood on fire in his attempt to escape. Surrounded by flames and on the verge of death, he was rescued by Slenderman. After losing his memory, Toby became one of Slenderman's proxies, known as Ticci Toby. The original Sonic.exe story revolves around Tom, a Sonic the Hedgehog fan who receives a mysterious CD from his friend Kyle. Despite Kyle's warnings not to play the game, Tom proceeds to play and encounters disturbing phenomena, including the presence of dead animals and encountering an evil-looking Sonic. The story takes a dark turn as Tom experiences nightmares and unsettling events in real life. The sequel/prequel of Sonic.exe follows a detective named Derek Green, investigating the murders committed by an unknown entity, leading to a confrontation with the malevolent Sonic.exe. Sonic.exe's appearance is a twisted version of the Sonic the Hedgehog, with dark fur and a malevolent expression. His personality is characterized by cruelty and sadism, and he possesses reality-controlling powers, the ability to manipulate dark matter, and immortality. The Russian sleep experiment refers to an experiment done by Russian researchers in the late 1940s, where they kept 6 political prisoners awake for 15 consecutive days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. The prisoners were considered enemies of the state in World War II and were to be kept in a sealed environment together with only books, cots for sleep, running water, and a toilet, and dried food said to last them for 5 months. The researchers only had microphones and 5-inch thick glass, porthole-sized windows to monitor the test subjects. The prisoners being in a sealed environment allowed the researchers to monitor their oxygen intake as the gas was toxic in large amounts. As the researchers proceeded with the testing, everything went fine for the first 5 days. Soon after, however, the prisoners started showing signs of severe paranoia. They stopped talking to one another and began silently whispering into the microphones, some believing they could win the trust of the researchers examining them if they turned over their comrades. On the 9th day, the two of the prisoners started screaming within the chamber, with one of them screaming to the point where they physically tore their vocal cords. The other prisoners seemingly didn't react at all to the two, continuing to whisper into the microphones while also tearing books apart, smearing their feces on them and pasting them all over the glass portholes. During the next 3 days, the screaming and whispering would stop, which concerned the researchers at the time as no sound was being heard from within the chamber. The only thing confirming that they were all alive was the abnormal amount of oxygen consumption inside. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers used the intercom to tell the prisoners that they would be opening the chambers to test the mics, and that complying would earn one of them freedom. However, one of the prisoners stated calmly that they no longer wanted to be freed. The researchers started replacing the gas inside with fresh air, but the prisoners inside begged them to bring it back. The chamber was opened with soldiers being sent inside to retrieve the prisoners, but the horrors seen within the chamber were foul and horrid. Chunks of meat and muscle from a dead test subject were stuffed into the drain, with 4 inches of a watery substance accumulated on the floor. Flesh from multiple parts of the bodies of the other prisoners was also torn off, revealing their organs and bones. And with much further investigation, the wounds on the test subjects were all self-inflicted, with much of the missing flesh having been eaten by the test subjects themselves over the past few days. The soldiers were met with much opposition from the test subjects, as one soldier's throat was ripped out and another had his testicles ripped off as well, with a leg artery severed by a subject's teeth. During the scuffle, one of the test subjects ended up rupturing their spleen and bleeding out. Even after bleeding out, the subject still showed great resistance for 3 minutes until he fell silent. The remaining subjects were moved to a medical facility, where one of the subjects died. The researchers found that his body had triple the amount of oxygen that people normally have, while also finding most of his muscles badly torn, and had also broken 9 bones in his struggle to get out of his restraints. When questioning the other subjects while they were being operated on, the researchers learned that the injuries the subjects inflicted on themselves were to keep them awake. The researchers tried prepping the subjects to be sent into the chamber again, connecting them to EEG monitors and restraining them on beds for long-term confinement. However, as one of the subjects started going to sleep, his brainwaves started fluctuating from normal to those of someone suffering from brain death, although ultimately flatlining to brainwaves similar to that of a deep sleep as his heart stopped. The last remaining test subject that could speak started screaming for him to be sealed back in the chamber. His brainwaves were similar to the last test subject who had died. The commander demanded that the remaining 2 test subjects be sealed in the chamber, as well as the 3 researchers who were in charge of the experiment. In opposition, one of the researchers shot the commander and the mute test subject, both in their heads. Before ending the life of the last subject, the researcher questioned what exactly was the test subject. The test subject stated, "Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into nocturnal haven, where we cannot tread." I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service. I have some stories to tell. It's a chilling creepypasta told from the perspective of a search and rescue officer who shares their eerie experiences working in the wilderness. The narrator recounts a series of unsettling incidents that they and their team have encountered during their time on the job, revealing the hidden dangers and mysteries lurking within the forest. The stories range from encountering strange staircases in the middle of nowhere that seem to defy logical explanation, to finding inexplicable clusters of missing persons cases that occur under mysterious circumstances. The narrator describes encountering unsettling entities such as the bear man abducting a little boy, a man with no face whose screams you can still hear, and an alleged stalker with big black eyes, and encountering inexplicable phenomena that defy rational explanation. I will also try to cover this topic in a future video, as there are many other stories in the thread that the user Search and Rescue was brought up on the r/nosleep forum. Sewer Slide mouse.avi is a popular creepypasta based on alleged lost and cursed animation from the early days of Disney. The story revolves around an anonymous individual who claims to have obtained a mysterious and disturbing video file called sewerslide mouse.avi. According to the narrator, the video was discovered among a collection of old Disney cartoons but stood out due to its unsettling content and ominous aura. The video purposely features Mickey Mouse in a state of distress, wandering through various distorted and nightmarish settings while accompanied by haunting music and distorted sound effects. As the animation progresses, Mickey's expression becomes increasingly twisted and tormented, leading to a disturbing and surreal viewing experience. The narrator describes feeling unnerved and disturbed by the video's content, which seems to defy the cheerful and wholesome image associated with Disney's iconic characters. They become obsessed with uncovering the origins and meaning behind sewer slide mouse.avi, delving into a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and urban legends surrounding the cursed animation. As the story unfolds, the narrator's obsession with the video takes a toll on their mental health, leading to paranoia, sleepless nights, and hallucinations related to Mickey Mouse and the disturbing imagery from the video. They become convinced that there is a malevolent force lurking within sewer slide mouse.avi, once that seeks to torment and haunt anyone who dares to watch it. Ben Drowned is a popular creepypasta that centers around a haunted copy of the Nintendo 64 game, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. The story is told from the perspective of a college student who purchases a second-hand cartridge of the game from an old man at a yard sale. Upon playing the game, the protagonist encounters strange occurrences and glitches that progressively worsen, leading to a terrifying and surreal experience. As the protagonist delves deeper into the game, they discover the presence of a malevolent spirit named Ben, who seems to have taken control of the game. Ben communicates with the protagonist through eerie messages and manipulates the game world, causing unsettling events and distorting the game's mechanics. The story unfolds through a series of in-game events and interactions with Ben, revealing a dark backstory involving a drowned boy named Ben who was obsessed with the game. The protagonist uncovers clues and pieces together the tragic events that lead to Ben's demise and subsequent haunting of the game. Abandoned by Disney is a tale that begins with an urban explorer's curiosity piqued by rumors of a deserted Disney resort called Mowgli's Palace. This dilapidated sanctuary was left to rot after Disney decided to shut it down for undisclosed reasons. Intrigued by the mystery surrounding the abandoned site, the protagonist embarks on a journey to uncover the truth behind its closure. Upon reaching Mowgli's Palace, the explorer is struck by the eerie aura that surrounds the decaying remnants of the once thriving theme park. The atmosphere is tense with remnants of forgotten attractions and animatronic characters from The Jungle Book, adding to the unsettling ambience. Despite the signs of decay and neglect, the park seems strangely preserved, as if frozen in time. As the explorer delves deeper into the abandoned facility, they stumble upon dark secrets hidden within its walls. They uncover evidence of a catastrophic event linked to a deadly mold infestation that led to the evacuation and closure of the park. This discovery raises more questions than answers, leaving the explorer to piece together the grim puzzle of what transpired at Mowgli's Palace. The horror escalates when the protagonist encounters mutated creatures, former employees and guests twisted and deformed by the lethal mold. These grotesque entities roam the desolate park, adding a nightmarish element to the explorer's already harrowing experience. Amidst the decay and danger, the explorer realizes they are not alone. A malevolent force lurks within Mowgli's Palace, feeding off the fear and despair of those who dare to trespass. Dead Bart is a chilling creepypasta centered around an alleged lost episode of the animated TV show The Simpsons. The story begins with the narrator, an anonymous former writer for the show, recounting an episode that was never aired due to its disturbing content. The episode titled Dead Bart is said to have been produced during the show's early years, but was buried and kept hidden from the public eye. According to the narrative, Dead Bart revolves around the character Bart Simpson, who dies in a tragic accident while skateboarding. The episode takes a dark turn as the grief-stricken Simpsons family copes with Bart's death, leading to disturbing and surreal scenes that defy the show's usual comedic tone. The narrator describes eerie details such as distorted animation, unsettling music, and cryptic messages hidden within the episode. As the story unfolds, the narrator reveals the sinister events surrounding the production of Dead Bart. They recount how the episode's content became too disturbing for the show's creators, leading to its suppression and deletion from official records. However, rumors of the lost episode persisted, with whispers of its existence circulating among fans and conspiracy theorists. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. I didn't realize how much research this would be until trying to actually make the whole script for this video. And I know some creepypastas I only explained in short detail, and I'm sorry for that, but this video was already running a bit long. I've never made a video like as long as this before. We're almost reaching the 1 hour mark, and I feel like my computer is gonna die if we go any longer than this. But yeah, I'll probably try to do a layer 2 as soon as possible, but with my procrastination skills, it'll probably take a while. If you guys want me to go into further detail about any of these creepypastas listed, please let me know in the comments section below. And that's all. Anyways, see you guys in the next one.